What's up, guys? Welcome to the What's True Health podcast. Today we've got Brad, a PT from X Gym Castle Hill and Bella Vista. It'll be really exciting to talk to Brad and really just pick into his brain about everything PT. It'll be good to get a refreshing perspective because lately we've just been talking to EPs. But yeah, Brad, welcome on to the podcast.
Oh, thank you, Victor. It's great to be here. I've been watching a lot of your stuff on your Instagram, a lot of the podcasts there, and you guys go a lot over research, which is really cool. It's something that, at least in the PT world, we don't see nearly as much as like what you guys are doing in the, I guess, EP side of things. So that's
Mm,
really cool.
yeah, that's actually a good point. We can discuss later on. Yeah, but research. Um,
Mm.
First of all, introduce yourself. Who are you? What do you do? And yeah.
Well, yeah, my name is Brad. I'm a personal trainer, and I guess gym owner as well. But usually whenever I introduce myself, I just say, "Oh, I'm a personal trainer," and leave it there. Like
Mm,
that's what I spend most of my time doing, like training people, and what I like, why I got into it was to train people. The gym owning stuff is kind of like, um, does take up a lot of my time, but is definitely like my passion's more so with training people. So I usually just say that. Um, but that's pretty much what I do day to day: train, eat. I do powerlifting, so I compete in powerlifting, as well as play rugby at the same time, which has its perks, but also many drawbacks because trying to balance the two can be quite tricky. Trying to be
mm,
like built like Eddie Hall, but then also be somewhat nimble and fit, and it's
yeah.
it's definitely trying to balance two things that are on the opposite ends. It's quite tricky. Um, but yeah, that's pretty much what I do day to day, and I have a gym at Bella Vista and Castle Hill, and obviously looking to keep expanding and keep growing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's awesome. And yeah, it's funny you mentioned yeah, balancing the rugby with the powerlifting, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that how are you finding that?
Well, so this last year is the first year I've done it. So I used to play rugby as a kid. Always
Hmm.
played rugby. That was my sport. I did other ones, but that was the main sport. All the way up to I did pretty much only rugby, like all the way up to like I think it was second year or third year out of high school, which was 2019. And then 2020 came around, but I'd already put in my mind that I'm going to be stopping footy. I just had too many injuries.
Mm,
Like I broke my scaphoid, tore my AC in my shoulder, like I don't know, 10 times that season. I can't remember how many. Uh, Tore my MCL in my elbow. And there was a couple other injuries, but it was just like I only played half the season, or less. And it was just kind of a waste of a season. But in playing half the season, being so injured, I kind of spent a lot of time rehabbing, but also, oh, like, I hurt my elbow. I'm going to go real hard on my legs training.
mm,
And I'd
mm,
go
mm.
crazy intense for training because I couldn't play footy for the next 3 weeks or so. Um, and I kind of built a bit of passion for more passion for the gym. There was already passion, but built more. And then I just thought, I'm just getting too injured. I was going to try a year of no rugby and just go gym. My coach told me to compete in powerlifting. I originally, when he told me that years ago, like I laughed at him and told him he's an idiot. I'll never do that, and I'm too weak, and I had all the excuses in the world. But I eventually did it. So I started powerlifting in like, uh, yeah, it would have been 2020 or end of 2019. I'm not sure. And yeah, it was great. 3 years later, I did 3 years of just straight powerlifting, and I got much stronger. Like my squat was like one, I think it was like 170, something like that, 170,
Mhm.
and got it to 225.
Damn.
Similar with all the other lifts, like they went up like a lot over that time. I didn't think I'd be able to hit those numbers. Um, but then I went and watched one of our trainers, Harry, who plays footy, um, and was looking, and I was like, man, that looks so fun.
Mm,
Looks fun. And I very much hate all the other teams, so I was very much like wanting to jump out on the field, sort of thing. So I thought I'm gonna have a try at coming back, and it was difficult because I was like 103 kilos, hadn't done cardio in over a year, very strong in my planes of motion that I usually stick in. Um, but yeah, like I'd run. I remember doing some. I did a Bronco. Do you know what a Bronco is?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, like the
like
fitness
yeah.
test. Yeah. I got like almost 6 minutes,
Mm,
like 5:52 or something.
yeah, yeah,
My best ever was like 4:45 when I was like pretty fit.
yeah.
Um, so yeah, adding a whole minute on top of it was pretty sad, and I was like about to pass out. I was
Mm,
really struggling, and um, it was horrible. But then by the time footy season came around, I'd lost maybe like 10 kilos. I was much fitter, and I was actually able to run around a decent amount. Came with some injuries throughout the year,
mm,
but and which took it. And the rugby season did take a toll more so on the powerlifting side of things. Like my squat went down to like a 1 rep max of 170 again.
mm.
Um, Partially because I'm in pain post footy. Like as soon as footy finished, I had like a 180 for one. That was really hard. The next week I had 190 for one. That was a bit easier. Then I had 200 for one, and that was even easier. Like it
Yeah.
just like 3 4 weeks of footy, the strength just started coming back.
Oh, nice, nice. Yeah.
Mm. But that
And
was kind of how it worked, balancing it. Yeah.
and did you see your injuries decrease when you started like coming back as a stronger person back into rugby?
Do you mean like when I went into rugby, my injuries that I was experiencing last time playing footy
Yeah,
decreasing?
yeah.
Um, yes and no. I had a couple injuries. So the first one was I had a blood infection. That was from something that was
Mm,
kind of from footy because we played on artificial turf and uh got some infections in my leg
mm,
and it got bad. One of them got bad. Well, technically it was ingrown hair that got bad, but anyway, and I had the other infections at the same time. Uh, One concussion. I tore my hamstring. That was probably the biggest one.
oh, yeah,
That was out for like it was like 6 to 8 weeks,
yeah.
which wasn't a
Oh,
crazy amount, but it was definitely tender, and I can still like feel it a bit today. Um, and a little bit of tearing of AC again,
mm,
but in the last couple of games they just gave me some local anesthetic to sort of ignore it.
mm.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so yeah, because there's often this notion, I guess, that like um as health allied health practitioners we have to get people stronger and stuff. Um, but yeah, it was just interesting to see your personal experience, if that's helped at all. But I bet now you're in unit on the field, with that powerlifting background. But
Yeah, it's definitely helped. There's times when, like, sometimes it doesn't matter. Like, it really doesn't matter. You could be like, LeBron James. Like, have you seen his like funny squats? LeBron
no,
James.
no, what
He
does he
does.
do?
He does his really high bar, arched back,
Mm,
quarter depth, funny squats, and it was a meme for a while.
yeah.
But in reality, he doesn't really need a squat. He's still going to be able to, dunk on me, and like he'll still be one of the best basketballers of all time without having a 200 squat.
Mm,
So there's a level of that, like it doesn't matter, but it does help when in contact pushing someone. It does help palming someone, and I've had to press like 140 for reps and pushing someone. If I can get the technique down pat, it definitely helps to push them off. Like it does help in some way for sure. Yeah, some level of strength training.
yeah, I agree. I agree. Um, I guess we can come back to yeah, we talked a bit about injuries and your powerlifting, rugby background. Now I guess we can
Mm.
move on to why you decided to become a PT. Like, was it something during high school? Yeah, growing up, what did you want to be a PT? How did you end up where you are now?
Well, I guess like we'll go way back. It was like with footy, I was doing rugby, but I was also doing like cross country endurance
Hmm.
training. And I realized I couldn't do both. Like I was too skinny to play footy, and I was like, but I wanted to be bigger and I wanted to really excel at footy. So I was like, I got rid of cross country training and focused on rugby, and then would, as a kid, do push ups and sit ups and all trying to get big up at I'm a kid, and then eventually started going to the gym to try and get bigger for rugby. Uh, it also helped with peers and my brother to stop picking on me as much. That they realized, oh, he's getting bigger now, and they slowly stopped, which was nice. But I guess the main thing was rugby. But then I had to sort of find a little bit of purpose after rugby, going like, what am I doing now? Like, I don't know what I'm doing. So then I got obviously into the powerlifting. But in terms of the PT side of things, as soon as I got out of school, my mum actually trained with this bloke named Dan at Vision. And she said, come down and see if you like it, and we can maybe do some personal training with him. And I was like, Mum, I know what I'm doing. All right, I don't need a coach, even though I had no idea, and my progression could have been way better. And anyway, so I went down, got a session, liked it. Mum and I like sort of split the PT. We're both paying for it, and um, yeah, I got coaching from Dan, who's still my coach now. That was in 2017,
Uh,
and yeah, it was actually the next year I was training with him it was the end of 2016, really, I started training with him. And the 2017 rugby season was probably one of my best seasons I've ever played. And a lot of it was due to I was fit, strong in the gym, strong out of the gym, and the PT from Dan really helped. At the time, I was at uni doing health science. It was kind of like a broad degree. Like I really didn't know what I wanted to do. I was like, look, I could just go do PT. I could like go into something sport related. I wasn't sure what I was going to do. But I think doing PT with Dan, I was like, man, this is like, that was great. Like that actually really helped me. I've seen physios, I've seen dietitians, I've seen like all different kinds of people, but I feel like that helped me the most. So just based on personal experience, I guess, he actually reached out to me and said he wants to coach me for free online. After we'd stopped PT for a period of time, he reached out and said, I want to coach you again for free online. And I was like, sure, I'm at uni. Like I don't have a heap of money to pay for like my 2 PT sessions a week, but free online, sure, sweet, let's do it. And so did that. And then he said he wants me to work for him. And I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, he's like, while you're doing your degree, just let's do some PT. And I was like, oh, okay, let's do that. And started doing some PT. At the time, I was working for New South Wales Rugby, doing some coaching at schools and stuff, and landscaping. But it was really good to like slowly get rid of those and push PT more. And at the time, actually, we sat down at Castle Mall next to Castle Towers, and he had a plan to do PT and eventually open up a gym and eventually open up lots of gyms. It was very much like a funny conversation because at the time I hadn't done one PT session yet, and
uh,
he's already talking about setting up a gym together. I'm like, mate, hold up, settle down. But in his head, he had a plan, and so far that plan's roughly been coming together. But I got into it because I experienced PT. It worked for me. I did like training my mates as well at the gym, so I thought I'd like it. And I don't mind being in the gym all day. I really don't mind being in the gym all day. So it was definitely something that I knew it was a job I wouldn't hate. If it was a job that I would do forever, I wasn't sure about at the time. But now I'm like, no, I'll do it forever. Like I like it enough to do it forever, and I can make it work in terms of like life. Like it can provide me enough to continue it forever. Um, but if I didn't get the PT myself, I probably would never have done it. So I owe a lot of it to PT, like getting it myself, experiencing it.
that's awesome.
Mm.
Yeah, I think that's a unique story because I'm assuming other PTs or PTs, people get into health, they're like, I like doing exercise, I want to do something exercise related, but you actually experiencing it firsthand, I think it's something really unique. And then from that, you sort of fell in love with it. Look, I want to do this. This sounds really interesting. It's helped me. Yeah, that's really cool. And tell me
Yeah.
more about, like you said, you've been to physios and other sort of health professions, but something about PT resonated with you the most. What was your experience in those other professions?
Well, I'd seen physios for like prior rugby injuries, like growing up, like whether it be or doctors, even like concussions. I had a fair few concussions growing up. Um, had some shoulder issues. I tore my trap in footy. Even when I was a kid, I broke my leg. That was outside of footy. Just a bunch. I've had injuries, doctors, physios, like all that. And I was even still contemplating physio, but definitely as a postgrad, not an undergrad. My ATAR good enough for that. But
Relatable.
it was definitely, yeah, it was definitely something where I was like, look, I would go into those things, but after experiencing the PT, I was like, damn, like I've had physios, sure, they got me out of pain. Half of it was just, I'm a 16-year-old kid, my body's going to recover
Mm.
for this injury anyway. Like they might have helped the process speed it up a little bit or made it so that it's less likely to happen again. I get that. But the PT was actually the thing I think that made me perform the best. And I was like, wow, like I've had good years of footy, but
Mm.
never this good. And I've been seeing physios for a while for getting rid of injuries, and they at least have made me be able to get them back on the field and play, which is great. But the PT chucked in actually allowed me to perform better,
Wow.
um, and actually score tries, big hits, those sorts of things to enjoy my footy a lot more. Yeah.
Mm. So, so the physio would just give you, I guess, well, they were looking more short term, just get you out of pain, get you moving, but not really think about the long term, like in terms of improving your performance, um, running faster. Like that was more the PT was looking in that sort of realm. Is that right?
Yeah, yeah. The physio I was seeing at the time, like when I was younger, it was very much like they chuck the machine on me and they might head out of the room for a bit and then come back in, new
Um,
machine and swap it out. They did a little bit of like movement and band work and manual release and like some things like that.
mm,
That was maybe like 25% of the session, but majority of the session was spent like, here's your like cold therapy machine or whatever you do. Then
yeah.
here's another machine we'll put on you. Here's another machine we'll put on you. And yeah, cool. We'll see you next week. And I was just like a kid. So I didn't really know what was good and what wasn't good. I
Mm,
had no idea at the time. And looking back, I was like, look, that yeah, some things are great, some things weren't as great. Um, and yeah, it's still good. And I still learned a bit from it. But yeah, I just think that the PT had a bigger impact on me personally. So I guess that's why I was kind of drawn to that. I'm sure if I had maybe a different physio, different PT, it could have been easily the other way around. And
mm,
if I had like the 99 ATAR or
yeah,
something,
yeah,
that would have helped
yeah.
too.
Yeah, I think that having that physio actually, yeah, because that physio is a bit of a red flag, it sounds like to me. Um,
Mm,
yeah, and if you actually had someone maybe who's more evidence-based, sort of knew a bit more what they were doing and following the evidence, maybe you might be a physio now, you don't ever know. But yeah,
mm.
um, it's interesting to think about that, like the impacts that we as professionals have on other people because your whole life path could have been changed. That's really interesting to think about. But yeah.
Yeah, you probably don't realize that that like I guess it's happened with people here. Like we have a trainer Nathan who started with us, but he first started in lockdown training with me just as he was doing boxing, and he's like, I really like strength training. It looks cool. I've never done it, and I want to get stronger. But I'm doing boxing, so stronger for boxing. He was just a client. He was an old friend of mine from way back, and started training him, and now he's a PT, and now he's actually a manager here as well. Just from simply starting training him, and then it's kind of, and he was originally a an accountant, so it definitely like was a big change in terms of what he was doing. But on my end, I'm just training someone. I'm just training someone, getting to know them, talking to them, that sort of things, and eventually like they change. What like their mindset can definitely change.
Wow, that's actually really powerful because yeah, you normally never think about, "Oh, I'm just treating this client, they'll get back to work or whatever, but you could actually plant the seed to inspire them maybe to pursue something in health. That's actually really a powerful thought and maybe something we
Mm,
don't consider as PTs, as allied health professionals. Yeah, that, that's something that's really important actually.
Well, I guess it might be something that's, I don't know, maybe a little different from PT to EP, but like on a PT sense, like, well, you guys get it when there's like injuries. For example, someone like has a big injury, they see you maybe multiple times a week. Initially, then it might space out later on. But like I might have a client for 3 sessions a week for a year straight. Um,
Mm.
or I might have them for online. Who knows? Whatever option they want to pick, really. But I've had clients that I have for 2 to 3 sessions a week. I've got a client that I've had for 2 to 3 sessions a week for like almost 5 years now. Um, and so in other words, I see them every week.
Yeah.
Every week for like 5 years, I see them for at least an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. And it's definitely something that I don't know about EP. Like you can maybe let me know more about that. But it's definitely something that's like changes their life. It definitely changes their life. Like going from maybe it's like losing 20 kilos, getting strong, getting fit, different mentalities around food, different levels of confidence. Seeing them go from like bloke who's like overweight, weak, and single. It comes into play. Trust me,
Definitely,
single.
definitely.
To like fit, much leaner, stronger, and engaged or married or something. And you sort of see them transition. So you definitely build like a pretty good like relationship with them, and you can see your impact on them. Especially the more they buy in, I find the more they buy into the concept of training and health and all that, like the more that they change. They have relationships with EPs, with physios and things like that. And um, yeah, like um, they always talk about their massage therapist. They always talk about their chiro or their physio that they see. And they're like fully encompassed in the concept of helping their body out. And those are the people that have a big change. The ones that don't have as much of the change are the ones that don't really buy in as much. So like they're maybe on online or 1 session a week, and they like for the 1 session a week, they might start to train 3, 4 days, but they only do their 1 session with you, and they kind of don't get in their other day, and they don't really apply much of what you say, and it's really hard to get through to them. Maybe because they've got outside factors that make that tricky, but they're the ones that I feel like don't change as much. The ones
Mm.
that fully buy in, like we see massive change.
And yeah, I didn't realize that. Yeah, you guys can have clients up to years on end. That's something really unique in that you can build that rapport to a much deeper level than say an EP or a physio, because we're probably gonna have them max I think a month. I'm not entirely sure, but around that area, definitely not years. Um,
Mm.
so it's almost like you imagine I can imagine the conversations like 2 years down the track, and you really get to know the person, and they'll feel really comfortable with you, and you feel really comfortable with them, and yeah, I think there's definitely some sort of therapeutic effect there. That's really interesting.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people do open up to PTs, and like after a period of time because they've been training with them for a while, open up about whatever it is. Yeah, trust me, a lot of times open up about women, open up about life, about things going on, frustrations, and a lot of our job is just to listen and like go, like you'll be all right, you got this anyway, next set.
Yeah, yeah.
um, just to be there to listen to them, and like they do like to open up a lot. Mm.
Awesome.
Which, yeah, I think that's because you had like a lot of time together over years and some good conversations.
And yeah, I love the fact that you're empathetic, you're listening. Yeah, but then reminding them what they're actually here for. They're not here for a counseling session. Um, but
Yeah.
yeah, it it's good that you mentioned that, because yeah, it's important to be empathetic and listening, because yeah, and that it will help them if they enjoy coming, they're more likely to adhere to the program and keep coming. So that's good. I really like that.
Yeah.
One other thing you mentioned was how there's like two different sort of clients. One that's more sort of into the health space. They're more aware of the I guess health literate, and then the other sort of category where maybe they do 1 session a week, that they have something going on, they can't do the exercises or whatever. How,
Mm.
in your experience, do you someone comes in and you find out they're in the second category, they're not really motivated. How would you, yeah, but they signed up and they want to get fit. What are some strategies, I guess, you could use to, I guess, encourage them, motivate them? Have you had those stories where someone comes in not motivated, but now they're super motivated? Or what do you do personally?
Well, I don't know if it's just them and their temperament, and they were like seemed unmotivated, but then all of a sudden they just had to start and they're good, or if it was me. But what I've seen is it's with I've got two clients who come to mind for that. One of them said he's only going to do it for 2 weeks. I'm only going to do PT for 2 weeks, and then that's it. This was like the one that's been with me for a long time. And then the other one's a more recent client. He's been with me now for like 6 months. Um, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I'm soon going to be probably stopping. Like, I just want to get things going first. I don't want to have to like come in too often or like I don't want to be too serious with my food and like, yeah, I don't want to overcommit. We're always worried about overcommitting. I'm soon going to be dropping this. Like playing it off pretty blasé. But the one recently has been he started training 6 days a week because he only wanted a 3 day program, and then eventually he thought to himself, I want to train more. So instead of asking me for more days, he's so new to the gym, he just did every day twice in the week.
Mm.
So he started training 6 days a week, and I didn't know. I was just like, I swear we've been doing this program for like 3 weeks, and you're up to week 5 already. How's that work? He's
Mm.
like, oh yeah, I'm doing every day twice. I'm like, oh, what? Just okay, I can make some extra days. But I was like, I was not ready for that. He's been training with me for 6 weeks, 6 months now, and he's possibly going to compete in the new year in a competition, like one of our novice powerlifting competitions. But before that, he'd never trained more than like 2 weeks in a row in his life, and he's like
Mm.
in his 30s. So for him, it's like really cool. With Callum, he's the other one. It was 2 weeks, that's it. And then next minute he's like doing comps. He's done, I don't know now, like maybe like 5 comps. But he's also quite fit. Like he plays Oz tag and he's actually pretty fit. He's not, that Eddie Hall build necessarily. Um, but with both those guys, the biggest thing I found was showing that you actually want to be there in the session with them, and you are happy to um, forgive your own time, even unpaid time, if it means the benefit of their results. And so that means you're showing that you actually care that much for their results. You're willing to put in extra before they even do, and without the expectation you'll get it back.
Mm.
Like it has to be somewhat selfless. I'm not doing it because now they're going to get back to me. It's more so that I actually do what if I want them to get the results because I know how it feels. And okay, if I want them to, I have to put in extra work because I can't just do my clock in, clock out of the hour and expect them to get crazy results. So I like with Callum, our first goal session, I think went for 2.5 hours. Uh, it's supposed to be an hour, but we just got stuck talking. He had a million questions and we just kept going for a while. And then we realized it was like 9 o'clock and he had to go.
Mm.
So he left and he said after that goal session, oh, I was like, what the hell? This is ridiculous. And so he was like, his motivation started to skyrocket from there. But it has to be genuine. I don't, if like, for example, that person's not crazy appreciative of my extra time, it's like, that's okay. I don't do it for necessarily the appreciation. As long as that person's getting results, then that's why I do it. If they're not getting results, I might be onto them like, oh man, you got to get in your solo days. And like, I'll be onto them for that. But same with Jeffrey, like going over usually, unless I have to go to something next, like another client or a meeting or something, I'll just go over. I do this with like most clients anyway. Um, but like these are the two clients that I have seen make that big change. And going over session, um, doing weekend sessions. Oh yeah, I don't mind doing that time, even though it's like a really annoying time for me and it really puts me out. Like, I don't mind because I know that like I have to be able to almost like they have to be able to earn their gains through hard work and training and all that. I can't expect to not work with them. I feel like it definitely creates a nicer bond when there's two people working towards the goal. Whereas if there's just one, like they're expected to work really hard, and I just show up and count reps and then leave at only the time I want to train them, then that's like I feel like that's not a good deal. And it definitely makes the job boring if I was doing that. Always creating like a little challenge for myself to I don't know, make it hard for myself,
Mm.
and earn it with them does make it more fun. And I think if they can see that, oh, this guy's like he almost cares for my gains more than I do. It can create even like a little bit of like I don't want to let him down. I think that's what they think sometimes. I don't want to let him down because that's what I felt with my coach. And they started putting extra work. They get results, and then they kind of just fall in love with the game of trying to get, stronger, fitter, whatever. Yeah. So that's probably the way that I see it in the like to get them to go from low motivation to high motivation.
I think you uncovered some real gold there. And I think lots of people could actually learn from that. Two things stand out to me from what you just said. Yeah, going the extra mile when someone's unmotivated. Yeah, taking the extra time, even if it's unpaid, and really inspiring them. And then I guess, yeah, then they'll feel a bit more accountable. I don't want to let Brad down, he seems like a really good guy and whatever. So setting that expectation, I think, is really powerful and sort of, I guess you're inspiring them. Like, look, I really want you to succeed. Like, this is how much I want you to succeed. I guess if someone believes in you, and then that results in you, I guess, even if you don't want to do it, you put in the extra little bit of work, and then maybe it gets easier and easier over the few weeks. And then this brings me on to the second thing, which is the sort of snowball effect. So maybe they weren't like the guy came in 2 weeks. He's like, I'm going to be here for 2 weeks. But then I guess as the snowball kept going, he sort of realized, oh, it's something I actually really like doing. And then he's been there for ages. So I think that's actually really important. And it's interesting seeing the overlap between PT and like EP and physio because it's pretty much the same thing. It's the client interactions are nearly identical. The only real difference is we'll get someone with who's a little bit more like damaged, you could say, and while PT is more about sort of training people up and more sort of the common goals of weight loss, getting stronger, etc. But it's not too different, and we could learn a lot from each other. And yeah, any EPs or physios listening, go to your local gym, see who the PTs are there. If you find out they're really nice, evidence-based, they know what they're doing, go connect with them. You could learn a lot from them. Just because we have a degree doesn't make us any better than them. I have a mate who's an EP that says he knows physios that he wouldn't tell people to go to. But he knows PTs that he would tell people to go to. So just because you have a degree doesn't mean you're following the evidence, you're actually doing the right thing. So much more to it than that. And I can see you really shining out there in the PT world.
Yeah, I agree fully. Like, um, most PTs are pretty average. Like, to be honest, most PTs are pretty average. But I think that's because the barrier of entry is pretty low. Like, you just go to do your certs, for example, and that's it. Like, just have some bit of paper here, like in some way to say, I know something about health. It's really not that hard. And so the paper kind of means nothing to us, at least in the like when you're a PT, like it doesn't really mean anything. And I'm sure you would be similar with physio EP. It matters a bit. It does. Like you have to have it. But in regards to, oh yeah, now I'm a good EP or now I'm a good physio, now I'm a good PT, it's like, oh, it might require a little more than just a bit of paper. And following that evidence-based practice is definitely a good thing. Obviously, there's not research on every single topic in the world. And I feel like that's something that comes into play a lot with PT is like, there's not much research when you think about the things that we have to critique a lot. There's not a lot of research on it. So it might be something like technique and squat. It's like if there's like no research on bar pass and squat. There's no research on at the very bottom of the rep if a client goes down, like shifts to the left and then back up. It's like, okay, oh yeah, let me get the research paper on that. It's like I don't think there's any on that.
Yeah, that's
So
true.
a lot of it is like a little bit like if you were to think of it like I think a boxing coach like there's not a crazy amount of research on teaching Mike Tyson how to become Mike Tyson. I think it was a lot of like experience, personal experience, like as a boxer, for example, or as a boxing coach, what I've seen, and maybe making sense of it as well, whether it be physics, like in other ways, like making sense of it. So I think that PT is like that a lot in that it makes you just have to make sense of things. Like, oh wow, okay, that happened. I've never seen that happen before in a squat. Oh, okay, why would that happen? Let's have a look at it. And then it can go into some evidence-based things, for example, like doing some testing. This is something that I find like is a little bit of a bridge from EP physio and PT is testing. So for example, like, and it's also something that like, I guess as PTs, we have to be careful not stepping on the toes of physios, EPs by testing things. But if in session, I've had it before where clients complaining of like anterior shoulder pain, do a couple tests here or there. Okay, I can see your whatever it is. External rotation on that side's like weak or unstable. Let's just do some basic external rotation stuff on that side. I want you to do the stretch. Okay, cool. How's the shoulder feel now? And they're like, oh, it feels way better. It's like, okay. I still recommend go see someone because that could easily come back. That could easily come back. But just to help you still train today, I'm glad we did that. And I'm glad I tested that. So I can see both crossover, but I definitely believe that, yeah, there's good and bad physios, good and bad EPs, good and bad PTs. And if we have a lot to learn from each other in regards to like the amount of times, like as a PT, something happens, they feel an injury, a pain, and I'm just like, damn, that's a tricky one. I don't know. Like that one's starting to get, actually, I'm unsure as to why you're feeling that. I've had a look at it, I'm still unsure. Whereas if it was a physio there, I had a physio's brain, maybe I could figure it out. But having the PT brain, the things that PTs could offer like EPs would probably be like compound critiquing, like critiquing squat, bench, deadlift, for example, is what we practice most. That and probably programming. Yeah, programming for someone. They're probably the two things we do more. A little bit of nutrition as well.
And
Yeah.
I think one more thing that PTs could actually offer physios and EPs is, in my experience, a lot of EPs and physios, someone comes in injured, and then we're just sort of trying to get them back to the pre-injury state, right? So that sort of baseline where they could do their daily living activities pain-free, whatever the goals may be, right?
Yeah.
And especially if they're an athlete, that might not be enough. So I don't think we have that much experience of the barrier between like baseline and going back to sport. That's, I think, something that maybe we don't learn as much as in uni. Whereas you probably have more experience in that, getting people stronger for their sport and making them excel in their sport. So I think that's something else that's really important. I might be wrong, but so far my experience tells me that.
Yeah, look, I agree. Just working with physios and EPs, some do push to like, all right, cool, you're injury free, but that hip issue could easily come back, and when you still have a weak glute, or you still have this, you still have that, that would be affecting your performance. So I still want you to do your rehab exercises, and I'm going to chuck in this new exercise too to help out with that. And they will still keep kind of onto you about it. And they will keep some like interprofessional communication of like talking to PTs and physios, like we'll talk to each other about how things are going. I find that helps a lot. Talking to the physio, talking to the EP about what's going on, and letting the EP know like they'd want to hear from me. Okay, well, we're going into a cut and a little bit of like a strength peak, like a strength block slash peak, and we're going to be cutting a couple kilos, and we're decreasing his overall cardio during that time, just so they know what's going on. Compared to, oh yeah, we're going on a bulk, we're going on a hypertrophy or conditioning block, and he will be doing a little bit more cardio, whatever it is, knowing where they are in terms of that, but then being able to say to the client, all right, so you're going to be doing more cardio, you're going to be doing more running. I want you to do these warm-ups before you start, and giving him a little bit of like a warm-up routine, because knowing their injury history with their calf, for example. So he's had calf issues, so I've given him these exercises to do before his cardio, especially if he's going to be heavier. He definitely should do them. That sort of blend, I think, is a great bridge between the two, compared to out of pain, out of office, like get out if you're out of pain, and then I'll see you when you're back in pain, is definitely, I think you would agree, a very reactive response. When there's pain, we'll react, compared to I don't know what the term would be, reactive or whatever it is, acting beforehand, before the pain's there to get them past not just, oh, I'm in pain, out of pain, but I'm performing or not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that performance aspect is really important. But yeah, I think we touched on some really good points there. I think we should now move on to the next question. So when I walked into X Gym, I don't know, maybe a few weeks ago, I noticed something that stood out to me compared to the other gyms I've been to. Uh, and I noticed that, first of all, the branding is on point. It's just looking on the website, it seems amazing. Like I could just tell it was a good group of people just from the website, which is really weird, but like
Mm.
it didn't I haven't really had that sort of feeling, like first impressions of seeing a gym and then going there in person and talking to you and your colleagues. It's like, wow, this is a really good group of people. There's a good culture here. You guys have like education meetings and stuff like that. Like it's a proper, really good environment. Um, I guess what I want to know is how did this happen? Was it something you did? Was it something that sort of came in collaboration? What are sort of the secrets to building that community, that culture, and really standing out from the rest of the competition?
Well, I think that I definitely can't take sole ownership for that. Like it is a team effort that creates the culture, and one person can build it up, one person can bring it down. So it definitely is like a team effort. Um, but I think there are bits of it that are on more so on my end, and bits of it that are just naturally occurring. Like if you're in the gym and you're training and you're with people, like because there's a lot of PT sessions going on. Usually in PT, people don't have headphones on, so they talk. And when there's like 5 PT sessions going on at once or 3 or whatever, the people who are in sessions might talk to each other. And that usually means that like a lot of people create friends there because they always meet at, Monday, 4 o'clock and chat to old mate while he's getting his session as well. So it does create like more friends compared to like a commercial gym, no trainers. Everyone's just got headphones on. No one really talks to anyone, or maybe they got like little clicks here and there. But that's it. No one really talks to anyone outside of that. It's very much like the over 120s powerlifter, almost masters, like 35-year-old bloke who's like massive powerlifter. We'll say g'day and have a chat to the like I don't know, new client, new member to the gym who's day one and like all a bit worried. It's like, oh yeah, how you going? And they'll have a chat. And that can sort of create culture. On our end, like doing the meetings, we have like the one-on-one meetings with our PTs. That's a good time to chat. The team meetings, we do a lot of fun stuff can happen there. So we do like birthdays, and birthday at the end, we'll do cake and a song and just building culture in that way. When someone first starts as a PT, we have an initiation that they have to either do a song or dance at the first meeting for like 10 seconds, like or 20, like nothing major, just do a little dance just to break the ice a little. And like little things like that can get culture going. Christmas party, like have it hang out that way. Training together, training with the PTs together, training with employees is really cool and helpful. Like there's little things here and there that are like both on us that we do, but also just are naturally occurring in the gym. But I think overall, like having people that do bring a fair bit of energy and camaraderie, like and positivity is like great. Like if there's someone who is low in energy and low in positivity, like it's almost like you can see it. It sticks out like a sore thumb. Because everyone else around them is generally more energetic and more positive. Like, yeah, it's just kind of like obvious when that happens. And I don't know why necessarily everyone's so generally positive, but it just seems that that's the case, and the negativity can definitely stand out. Mm.
Mm. I'm noticing a couple of things. So one is like there's no sort of hierarchy, I guess, in the community. Like as you said, the guy who can bench 200 kilos talks to the person who just walked into the gym, motivates them, and that you're sort of you're like breaking down that hierarchy of like, oh, I'm better than you or whatever. So everyone's sort of on that even playing field and you can like talk to each other, I guess, get tips, whatever. That's something really I think that's really valuable. And also the fact that people aren't just like the PTs aren't just coming in for their shift and leaving. You are actively socializing between the group, and then you become sort of friends, and then it becomes like a really strong connection. And I feel like, yeah, I guess, would it be fair to say that your colleagues are like friends to you?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, for sure. I mean, when you spend that much time with someone, like you kind of got to like them a little bit. But
Mm,
we try and do the whole hierarchy thing between the members. We try and do between the like workers, employees. There's not much of a hierarchy. There is when it comes down to it. Like when it comes down to it, there is. Like if someone's like not being a great employee, then the hierarchy has to kind of come back in. And like I
mm,
mean, I have to tell that person you can't do that. Remind them of the hierarchy. But we try not to have that really be a thing. In that, like the eventually, let's say the company is like way bigger. It's easier to think of it like this, at least, or as I do. The company is way bigger. Ooh, sorry, my phone's dying a little bit, so I might be moving around a little to get the
that's all right.
charger. But
That's all right.
um, yeah, so let's say the company is way bigger. It's got heaps of employees, heaps of gyms. It it would be great to have it at the point whereby even like an area manager or something of all the PTs is able to have a chat almost like they're equals to just a basic like new PT, um, like pretty much like they're equals. Yeah, like there's no difference between the two. That would be the goal.
Mm,
Um, and we do that now in regards to like yeah, I don't as I told you, I don't yell at the PTs. Um, I like there has to be some level of common respect regardless of where you are in hierarchy. It's not like, oh, you're just a PT. Who cares? Like you're not a big deal. I can treat you however I want. No, it's if anything, I need to actually give more than what you give because of where I am, because of the hierarchy. I actually have more responsibility and therefore have to sacrifice more than you, um, with not like expectation of nothing in return, really, except for like maybe some just common respect, and that's it.
yeah, yeah.
So there's hierarchy, but it kind of goes both ways with the hierarchy in that like yeah, I'm not a fan of managers or bosses that because they're a manager they feel like they can treat uh, staff poorly and get away with it. It's definitely something where it's more so like nah, like if anything, now that I'm a manager, like my head's on the chopping board more, and I have to treat these guys like yeah, like I really care for them, like a client, I guess.
Mm. Yeah, so like you're sort of pulling them up when maybe they're like not performing to the best of their ability, and I guess it's both in both of your best interest to sort of pull them back up to, I guess, that performance standpoint.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and then the other point you made is really good about maybe with a smaller gym that sort of um yeah, like no hierarchy would be possible in a small gym. But as you increase, like more members come, more gyms, area managers, whatever, it would be harder to implement that. I can see that, which is an
yeah.
interesting point. Yeah.
Yeah, it'd definitely be harder, but it can still be done. It's just it's something where it's like yeah, like the owner of the gym, let's say owner of Anytime Fitness. When we were there, I never met the bloke, never
Mm,
met the owner. I saw him once in like 5 years that I was there. Um, and he didn't talk to any members. He didn't. We were the PTs there for like 3 or more years and never talked to us. Compared to if it was at a point where even the owner of the gym comes in, says good day to the PTs, how you going? Hope everything's good. How is everything? How's the gym? And talk to them like again equals rather than like I don't have time for you.
that makes a big,
Would it'd be the goal, I guess.
yeah, that's awesome. And I think we'll finish up with this last question here. So,
Yep.
what are your aspirations for the future? Do you have any goals? Do you have anything long term that you want to do? Just tell us about your aspirations.
Well, the long-term goal for the gyms is to get 42 gyms, most likely just across New South Wales, possibly branching further, but to get to 42 gyms. Uh, Currently at two. So we've got a long road ahead. But look, I didn't even think two was going to happen, 5 years ago, and look where we are. So it can definitely happen. In terms of like personally, like most of my goals are more so around me personally in regards to like character development, um, to get to a point whereby I can, even if personal goals aren't met, financial goals aren't met, training goals aren't met, yeah, if my character can hold like steadfast, it can hold strong, then I would prefer that than the other way around. I would prefer to be not the strongest, not the best in business, not the like best coach, whatever. But if my character's all good, then I feel like I'm happy with that compared to, oh yeah, I'm really, really strong, but I'm a little bit of I'm a pretty selfish person. Like I don't really care about others, or uh, I'm a really bad manager. I'm mean to people. I would hate that. So a lot of mine are sort of looking into that. And I remember that's when we talked a little bit about like um, philosophy and a little bit about, I guess, the thought of thought, talking about different moral decisions, different philosophical decisions in life about like, and I face them all the time with like the going over in session. Do I value this person's results more? Do I value my own time more? And I think that understanding that is probably like those sorts of questions and making decisions day to day is probably a more important thing than how strong I am or how successful I am in business. And I think it's going to result in a better life overall. And I think also that people who are like that will do good in business a lot of the time because they have to make decisions all the time. They will excel, sorry, in these things. So personal goals are like goals like that. Like, okay, reviewing my week or reviewing my day, like, that decision was a little bit selfish, or that one, nah, I should have said this, or I should have decided that. Is probably weighs on my mind more so than like the next PR I'm going to get in the gym. Even though obviously I want to get big and strong and hit PRs, that I'm not denying that. But I think my personal goals are, yeah, more so character building than anything else, and like a bit of honor and character and sustaining that.
That's awesome.
So yeah, sorry for a boring answer. Not like, oh, I'm a
No, that was
millionaire.
awesome. That was an amazing answer. Yeah, you're really putting yourself first, and then I guess all the material things, if they happen or not, it is what it is. But at least you have yourself in the end. That's really powerful. Yeah,
Mm,
that's awesome. I think that's something really unique. We haven't had that sort of response before. Usually people will tell them the material goals. I want to do this. I want to be this. But yeah, reflecting on your values, where do you yourself want to be? That's something that's actually really important. So thanks for highlighting that and sort of reminding us that how important it is to sort of reflect on your own values.
no worries. And shout out to you guys. Like looking at what you guys are doing on your podcast and on Instagram and everything. That it's actually cool to see like people looking into research that heavily, because it's something that's definitely missing in the PT world. Like when I was first doing PT, I was doing a lot of research because I was doing it at uni, and it was one of the only ways I really knew how to learn. I didn't really know how to learn anything, but it looked for research. And a client had come with an injury, and I'm like, oh, what do I do? I'll research it. So I look at clinical research and learn from that. And I think it's something that's really, really vital to like later on down the track. It's helped me a lot. Like even
Mm.
just learning, knowing how to research is like beneficial. Just so I can do it if there's something I need to learn about. It's super beneficial for you. So for you guys to be doing it, like especially at like a young age, um, is awesome to see. And the fact that you're basing a lot of your education off that, um, is awesome. Like it's that's so good. And it's even while you're doing, because you're currently at uni, right,
Mm.
doing EP. So yeah, even while you're at uni, you're not just doing uni, like you're also doing additional things on the side for it. And so that's really cool. Like I was definitely like a bit of a, I don't know, a odd man out in terms of like looking at research like that. Like there weren't many people, unless they are physios EPs, but in PT, it's just so rare to see.
Mm.
So to see it being done on your end is just like, all right, great. We got younger blokes coming up that are like looking at research in the health field. trying to find out what's going to help people most.
Yeah. Thanks for that. Yeah, and I really
Mm.
resonate with I guess being the odd one out. It's weird because yeah, you should be looking at the research, you should be having informed decisions, but I guess it's people don't value it yet, I guess. Especially in the PT world, we don't learn about it. Like when you're doing your certs, how to read research or anything like that. So maybe yeah, that's something that I guess should be talked about more in the PT world and in the EP world about the importance of research. But yeah, that's I guess what we're doing now with this podcast, with all the content. But yeah, that's sort of our aim.
Yeah, sweet. Well, hopefully you can get a bunch of people on your team, on your side, get a bunch of people researching, and like get research to be more of a common thing,
Mm.
not so odd that
Yeah,
you're researching
yeah,
something for your
yeah.
own fun or for your own whatever.
We should reduce the barrier to entry for sure. Well,
Yeah. Well. Oh, sorry. Yeah. There you go.
you go.
I was just going to say, well, your Instagram videos do it pretty well. A lot of them, and a lot of the Instagram videos I do like I hate the ones where it's like some girl doing crab walks and she's got like 10 million followers. I
Yeah,
do like the ones that are actually very informative. Whether or not you agree with everything they say, I don't agree with everything everyone says, but a lot of them are like, okay, like at least he's like explained that research to me quite well without having to spend half an hour going and reading it all or whatever, and finding it. I just watched the 1 minute video and I got the gist of it. That's pretty cool. Like, and
mm,
he explained the research as well, and like that was pretty cool. Okay, sweet. And it does definitely like decrease that barrier of entry, as you said.
yeah, and yeah. So in that way, social media can be used more of a tool as instead of a time waster, I guess. Instead of looking at dog videos, you'll be actually learning about research, learning about how to improve your practice, whatever.
Yeah, it's definitely something that like, look, you should be like, if you're EP, and I'm sure you'd agree, like you should be following these sorts of pages because, yeah, dog videos are nice or like funny videos are great, but being able to go onto even Instagram, which is like almost like a, I don't know, like a funny app or even close to a dating app, like it's got all these other things in it. No, it's actually like my learning app, and
Mm,
it can be influenced like that if you follow the right people and the right pages.
definitely. Yeah,
Mm.
for sure. I think that's a good note to end it on, Brad. Thanks for coming on. If people
No
want to,
worries.
if people are interested in your personal training or they want to find you, where can they find you?
I'll be in one of the X gyms almost 24/7. So walk in there and you got a 50% chance of hitting me. Other than that, you can hit me up on Instagram, email me, whatever. But Instagram is probably like something that everyone has and has access to. So, and that's where a lot of people follow you. So probably that.
Mm. Yeah, and I'll link all the XGym website, all your handles in the show notes below. But yeah,
All right.
thanks for hopping on, Brad.
No worries, Victor. Keen to hear more philosophy from yourself as well in the future. I love talking about it.
Sounds good.
He's as mate. No worries.